Hello, thank you for joining us today. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure, I'm Master Sergeant Sarah Lorenzini. I work counter drug operations with the Connecticut National Guard program. I'm the drug demand reduction outreach person for the state of Connecticut. I'm the only one the state has. And for my drill job, for my National Guard job, I am the first sergeant for the medical group up at the 103rd Airborne Group.
It's really awesome. What is the connection between being in the Air Force and teaching people about vaping?
So one of the programs that the National Guard does, it's a multi-jurisdictional task force funded through Congress, and it's the counter drug operations, and has two parts. So one part is criminal analysts who work with law enforcement agencies, some of my compatriots, and then my part is to go out and do prevention out in the community. So to talk to people, to educate them, specifically youth, but anybody that we can talk to and get in front of about the dangers of vaping, about the dangers of any kind of drugs and that type of activity.
That's really awesome. Have you been to the youth agency before?
I've never been here before. However, I have been to the Max before, so I've worked with the Milford agency.
That's really, really cool. Why did you decide to educate people about vaping?
Well, it's my job, so you got to do that. It's your job. But I really believe that I've seen. So I was in the Army back in the 90s, and one of the things that the only reason we were able to get a break was because you would get a cigarette, right? So that was how you got a break. So I remember those days, and I remember people struggling to quit smoking, and it's because of nicotine. Nicotine's a highly addictive substance. And now I'm watching the vaping come around, and it doesn't have the same connotation as smoking does. It's not as disliked or disregarded. So vaping is coming in and it's taking over that front. And so now there's another generation that are getting addicted to nicotine. I definitely want to educate as much as possible about the dangers.
Yeah. So you said about nicotine, and nicotine is in vapes. So a lot of people believe that it's just water vapor inside of those. So how do you think we could combat those gimmicks about vaping and stuff?
This is something that has been that's what we'll call it big vaping. They promote this, right? That it's non-harmful and it's a safer alternative than smoking. Studies have not proven one way or the other whether or not or how safe it is compared to smoking. It does have nicotine, which again is an addictive substance, so it does make you want to have more of it or have another vape. But the other thing is we don't have any long-term studies on what actually occurs from the vapes, right? So when you hit a vape, there's heavy metals that go into your lungs, even if it's just water vapor, because there is just water vapor. It's a very small percentage, but there's just water vapor. But still, those heavy metals come into your body. We don't know what that does to your lungs. Anytime you're bringing something into your lungs that's not supposed to be there, that's not ideal, right? So even those heavy metals just by themselves are a problem. On top of that, with the vaping and the other additives they have in there, like the propylene glycol and everything. So
yeah. Do you think that with vaping and inhaling the heavy metals, is that as dangerous as having a pack of cigarettes a day?
So one of the things with vaping is it's not self-limiting. When you're talking about a cigarette, you have a cigarette and it burns and you have 20 puffs and you're done. With the vape, you can do it in a cartridge, and a cartridge could have almost an entire pack of cigarettes, which makes a huge difference because then you can have a nicotine overdose. You can have a nicotine overdose. That's the big thing because you don't know you're not stopping and starting again, right? And you can also do it much quicker. So when you're doing a cigarette, you can only smoke it so fast. When you're having a vape, it can be smoked. You could smoke almost an entire pack of cigarettes in the same amount of time that you'd be able to smoke a cigarette because just puffing on that. And that makes a huge difference in how it's brought into your system and what it does to you.
Yeah. So we know that it's a big issue in teens, but how do you think that it affects adults who vape?
So, anecdotal story here. I know someone that used to smoke. They stopped smoking, and then vaping came around, and they started vaping because it was no big deal as was promoted. And they got to the point where they started vaping more and more and more, and then they went back to smoking. So that's not what's going to happen to everybody, but that is out there. And actually, that's something that the college campuses are seeing now. People that they're trying to quit vaping, so they're going to smoking to quit vaping.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that when vapes are being marketed, they are marketed in the same way that cigarettes are marketed, or are they marketed differently?
If you look at the advertising that the vape companies have put out for vapes, and look at the old advertising for cigarettes, you can find unbelievable similarities.
Yeah. I know that vapes, they can look like everyday objects. So what are some of those everyday objects?
Well, I mean, the biggest one looks like a little USB, right? So the jewels look more like little USBs that you just plug into a computer because that's how you charge them. There's pens that look more like pens. They have some that are in concealed, right? You can get the clothing that conceals them, so the sweaters that conceal them, backpacks that conceal them. For the most part, people have a tendency to just vape. It doesn't matter what it looks like, but those are the ones that get concealed the most, I would say.
Yeah, yeah. What are some of the signs that a teen is vaping?
It's really gonna depend on the teenager, right? A lot of times vaping is not um, the cause; it's the symptom, right? So people are vaping because they're trying to escape or because they're trying to fit in or something along those lines. So really, it's a matter of understanding your teenager and understanding when there's that change in attitude, when there's that change in mood, when there's that change in behavior, um, that brings them to that point. And vapes typically also smell sweet. So if all of a sudden your teen comes home smelling like cotton candy all the time, and that's not a typical perfume for them to wear, that might be something to think of as well. And then it costs money. So just knowing that they're going to need more money, or someone's going to need more money, or that money's going to be coming from somewhere, things to watch out for.
Yeah, yeah. How do you think a parent or like a friend could bring up this conversation about vaping?
There's a lot of different ways, right? I mean, everyone's going to say whatever's most comfortable for them. For me, I'm a very direct person. So I'm more along the lines of what's going on? Talk to me. Like, I can see there's something happening. Why don't you talk to me about this? I'm here to listen to you. I'm not here to judge you. I'm not here to say that you're wrong or there's any problems. My job is to listen to you and see what's going on, right? We always want to make sure we're non-judgmental because that's the biggest thing, right? Everybody is going through something. You never know what it is. So we want to meet people where they are, not where we want them to be or not where we expect them to be, right? So meeting people where they are is huge. Having knowledge about the subject is good whenever you want to go into a conversation. You don't have to be an expert, but if something does come up, you want to be able to have resources. So you want to be able to have like a cessation line or information or a website for them to go to get more information. And the other way is just to maybe subtly ask them and try and see what's going on in their lives and see what's happening and see if there's anything you can do to help them. Maybe that will bring out what it is. Not necessarily the greatest thing is to attack, which sometimes as a parent is what you feel like you might want to do. And I understand that totally because you're like, I know it's best for you, but as a person, I know I don't react well to that. So I always try to treat my kids, because I have two young kids, like I would want to be treated. So I'm trying not to attack them. I know at some point you do have to be the parents, you have to be the person who's going to have to say, this is not okay. We're going to fix this, and how we're going to fix this, but it doesn't necessarily need to be you on an attack to get to that point.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. When parents are talking to their kids about vaping, a lot of the issue is that kids just don't care. So, what do you think is a way that we can get kids who vape to care about quitting?
So there's a lot of different ways, right? One of the things is figure out why these individuals are vaping, right? Whether it's vaping because they are trying to fit in, whether it's fear of missing out, whether it's they're just trying it and then they got hooked, and like, so when you find out why, then you're able to sit there and say, okay, then let's look at that reason, let's look at that problem, and then let's attack that problem. Because like I said, vaping is oftentimes it's not the cause, it's a symptom of something else that's going on in their life.
Yeah, yeah. What do you think is a way that friends can help someone quit? Like, should a friend like bring them to like a guidance counselor?
Absolutely. I mean, you as an individual, as a friend, as a person, you're gonna feel something inside, right? You're gonna sit there and think, okay, there's something wrong. There's something here that I need to do. What am I gonna do? And then you need to identify, okay, where am I gonna be if this person is continues along this path? What is gonna happen? And where are they gonna be? And how can I help them get to the place of freedom from nicotine, right? Because that's the biggest thing. We never want to be stuck underneath someone else's rule, right? And if we're vaping, we're stuck underneath the rule of nicotine because that's what it is. It's in charge of your life. You have to have that. So bringing them to a guidance counselor is a great option.
Yeah.
Or another trusted adult.
Mhm. Do you think that in schools we should be talking to kids who are younger, like maybe 10?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
100%. I talk to my kids right now. So my daughter's 3. Every time we do vitamins, we talk about medicine and how the only person that gives her medicine is adults, and it's along those same lines. It has to be. We need to start talking because we need to give the youth the ability to understand what they're saying yes or no to.
Yeah.
And sometimes they don't have that, and that's a problem for us as adults. We need to make sure that they understand so that they know what they're choosing.
Yeah. That's definitely important. Do you have any other resources that you would like to share about vaping or quitting?
I have a lot of resources, and I believe we can put them with the link at the end.
Yeah.
I'm gonna mention one right now. It's the Truth Initiative. It's a great website. It has a lot of stuff. You can sign up for text alerts. So I get text alerts all the time from the Truth Initiative. There's a couple other ones that I will also send out, but PAVE is another good one for adults. It's Parents Against Vaping. But yeah, there's a lot of resources out there.
Yeah. Well, thank you for coming and talking to me. I really enjoyed this.
Yes, this is awesome. Thank you.
In the National Youth Tobacco Survey for 2021, it states 11.3% of U.S. groups currently vape. That means that 88.7% currently do not. We need to promote the positive to help give youth and adults positive role models to follow.